Hi, I'm Lexi. I'm a practitioner's assistant at Integrative Wellness Group, and today we're here with Dr. Kyle.
Hey everybody.
And we are going to talk about pregnancy.
My favorite topic.
So question number one, what is a pregnancy consult?
So a pregnancy consultation with me, depending on what stage of pregnancy you are in, can involve question and answers, a conversation about nutrition, supplementation, prenatal vitamins, diet, exercise classes, what other practitioners that you may want to seek care from, what does labor and delivery look like, how to prepare for that, many aspects depending on what trimester you are in. And I typically have anywhere from 3 to 4 consults depending on what stage you are in. Usually one around the first trimester, one in the second, one in the third, maybe a fourth one in the third trimester as well. Again, all to suit your best needs and your wishes based on what type of birth experience that you want to have.
Cool.
Yeah.
So at what point would a new mother start the process with you?
When it comes to that, again, it all depends on what type of birth experience you want to have. Some people start planning preconception, which ideally that's the time that you want to start because you want to set the stage and the environment in your body to be able to grow and develop a healthy, happy baby inside you. So it really does help to start the process if you really know that you want to have children and you sort of have a time in mind. Honestly, to start anywhere from 6 months to a year prior to starting, trying to conceive. Again, to, if you're having issues or difficulties or concerns, that you can address them and you have enough time in order to do so. Or even if you're already healthy, you want to, even get a little healthier and get on the right supplementation, have, great nutrition, prepare your body, physically, chemically, emotionally, energetically, again, so that when conception happens, that your baby is growing and developing, easily and happily, and the pregnancy itself is easy as well.
Love it.
Yeah.
Where do the consults fit in with your personal model of care?
So I've recently developed what I describe as my model of care, and CARE stands for something that's after a blog that I wrote, and you can learn more about that. You can seek out the blog on our website at integrativewellnessgroup.com, and that can be a whole nother Facebook Live event that we can get into. But again, they're all timely. Again, depending on when you're starting. The first consult usually deals with nutrition, supplementation, prenatal vitamins, talk about maybe some extra testing, genetic testing, those sorts of things. Second trimester, I get into speaking about what sort of exercises are you doing, what other classes are you taking, or what other classes are you seeking, speaking about what other practitioners you are working with, again, to make sure that you're preparing yourself in the best possible way. And then third trimester, we speak about developing your birth plan, what does labor and delivery look like, what should it feel like, what sort of things should I be doing in order to prepare, if you're having a home birth versus a hospital birth, how things may be different, how they would be similar, and again, answering questions and having a conversation about that outside of the actual care part of the program.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And our last question, that I'm sure we're all wondering, is why did you start doing pregnancy consults? What really got you into this? So
pregnancy consults just sort of happened. I remember distinctly working with new parents, and they were coming for a chiropractic exam. They were seeking chiropractic care as mom was newly pregnant. And through my line of questioning and through the questions that mom had, I realized that I spent an hour with them and I didn't even get to any of my chiropractic exam questions or the physical exam part of that appointment. So I realized very quickly that, especially if you're a new parent, new family, this is your first baby, you may not necessarily know how to navigate the system, and it can be difficult, especially if you're planning on having a hospital birth. what OB am I working with? What hospital do they deliver at? If so, when do I go to the hospital? What sort of protocols do they have? What sort of interventions may need to prepare myself for, or how do I avoid those interventions depending on the type of birth that I want to have? And eventually I came up with a list of almost 45 questions just in one of those consults that I help parents not only be aware of, but also help them understand that this is the line of questioning that you may want to pursue. You may be looking for these answers from a practitioner. If you're not receiving the answers that you're looking for, or don't get the vibe that you want, then you may not be with the right practitioner, and that's okay. But unless you sometimes actively seek or ask those pointed questions to that practitioner, that information may not be voluntarily offered to you. And that's where I saw in my experience some gaps in that time, in having a baby, where it's a brand new experience. You've never had it before. You may not even know what questions to ask. You don't know where to look for information, what books to read, what books not to read. How am I feeling?
Where to get started.
Yeah, there's just so many questions that unfortunately go left unanswered. So I felt that it was very important in working with the population that I work with, that I needed to do something about that. Now, don't get me wrong, there are fantastic practitioners out there. I feel very lucky to have a lot of them, in my circle that I refer with back and forth. But sometimes, like I said, information gets lost, whether it's not there or gets lost in translation, or maybe you don't understand the information that you received. And having an hour to sit down with myself and the family to iron some of that out in order to allow you to be more comfortable with, again, the journey and the path that you're seeking on what type of birth experience that you're trying to have, but being confident in that as well, so that when labor and delivery is happening, that you are aware that, okay, if this happens, then here's my options. If this happens, then here are my options. If that's not an option, what other route can I take? Who else maybe can I incorporate as a part of my birth team? So I feel that it's very, very important to add these consults along the pregnancy, again, just to allow you to have your best possible experience. And without that, sometimes we see some unnecessary interventions that may not be needed if there was a little more education and knowledge and comfort within the family and the whole experience. So it's something I feel very, very passionately about, and like I said, they're incorporated within the model of care that I've recently developed, and I'm really, really looking forward to that really, really taking off. And if you would like more information, not only about the model of care, pregnancy chiropractic, craniosacral therapy, foundation training, prenatal nutrition, supplementation, and vitamins, or anything related to pregnancy and pediatrics on the holistic side, I do a little bit of everything. Feel free to check us out at integrativewellnessgroup.com and come and visit at our beautiful location in Belmar.
Bye.
Bye.